The United States imposed additional taxes, known as tariffs, on a variety of Chinese-made goods, including electronics, toys, and machinery, when it began a trade war with China in 2018. The goal was to make these Chinese goods more expensive in America so that fewer people would purchase them, which would harm China's economy. The US initially believed that these additional taxes would make it difficult for China to sell its goods, but China persisted and did not focus only on America. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, notification turned on for more videos. Instead of collapsing, China found new ways to succeed and changed how it traded with the rest of the world, which is now affecting how many countries do business with one another. In 2023, China started exporting its goods to other nations. China's total exports were nearly the same at $3.4 trillion as they were prior to the start of the trade war. China began selling more to nations in Southeast Asia, Europe, Africa, and Latin America. For instance, nations like Vietnam, Mexico, and Brazil started purchasing a lot more Chinese goods, demonstrating that when one market closes, China finds many more to sell to. The Belt and Road Initiative is another crucial tool that aided China during this period. Since the 2013 group, in more than 140 countries, China has constructed numerous ports, railroads, and highways. For instance, in Kenya, a new Chinese-built railway now links Nairobi and the coast, making it simpler to transport goods. In 2012. About 40% of China's exports were purchased by the three nations that make up the Belt and Road Network. This initiative aims to foster enduring friendships in addition to trade. Along with many other countries, the US attempted to halt China's technological advancement by prohibiting Chinese companies like Huawei from purchasing computer chips manufactured in the US. These chips are really tiny components that support the operation of our computers, phones, and other gadgets. The United States believed that preventing China from obtaining these chips would slow down China's technological advancements. But this strategy did not pan out as planned. China invested a substantial sum of money, roughly $40 billion, to produce its own chips in 2023. These chips were first produced by companies like SMIC and Huawei's HiSilicon, but they still lag a few years behind the world's top chips. On social media in China, they are improving daily. When Huawei unveiled a new phone with a Chinese-made chip, many people rejoiced. When the United States prohibited China from purchasing the best technology, the entire nation banded together to find a solution. The Chinese government provided funding to new businesses. Startups, schools started teaching more engineering, and factories worked extremely hard to keep up. American chip companies like Intel and Qualcomm lost billions of dollars in sales because Chinese chips are now in high demand. China filed more than 2 million patents in 2023, indicating that its inventors produced a large number of novel concepts and innovations. This collaboration brings to mind the moment President Kennedy asked the US to visit the moon, and everyone cooperated to realize that goal. While the United States and China have been at odds over trade, China is now using its technology in a similar way. Europe is also undergoing an intriguing shift. Europe, which has long been a close ally of the US, is beginning to forge closer ties with China. For many years, the US and Europe put forth a lot of effort and on concerns like trade and security. But in recent years, the United States has faced more challenges, placed tariffs, and implemented measures that have harmed numerous European businesses. Leaders in Europe are starting to realize China as a new ally. Chinese businesses that produce electric vehicles such as the BYD and NIO are constructing factories in Europe. Nations like Germany and Hungary in approximately 25% of electric vehicles sold in 2023 were manufactured in China, even on European. Germans on Twitter have made jokes regarding how Europe is currently purchasing more from China, claims that we purchased Russian gas first. Chinese automobiles now. What comes next? 80% of the world's solar panels are already produced in China, according to data. This expanding partnership between Europe and China demonstrates that while Europe is seeking new strategies to maintain a robust economy, China is also forming alliances with numerous developing nations in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, sometimes referred to as the Global South, who require assistance in the construction of roads, schools, and hospitals. China provides loans and construction assistance in exchange for access to vital resources like minerals and oil, as well as political support on a global scale. For instance, Nigeria constructed new railways by borrowing roughly $5 billion from China, despite some fear that this could lead to Nigeria becoming indebted. Many nations are intelligent and know how to use China's assistance without sacrificing their independence, as evidenced by the Nigerian president's tweet that read, "We're not stupid, we negotiate hard." Some of America's allies have also turned against the US due to the trade war and China's harsh response. For example, Australia's criticism of China's policies caused some allies to turn against the US. China banned Australian wine and coal, so Australia began selling more of its goods to countries in Southeast Asia and India. Even Saudi Arabia, which was once very close to the US, signed a $10 billion tech deal with China in 2023, indicating that even traditional US allies now find it more appealing to work with China nowadays. The world is no longer simply split into two groups, the US and China. Turkey and Brazil are expanding quickly, and they want to cooperate with everyone rather than take sides. For instance, a TikTok video from India showed a street market with Russian oil cans, Chinese smartphones, and American soda, all in one place with the caption, "This is the future, everyone's business with everyone." This straightforward message illustrates that in today's world, trade and business are shared by everyone, and no single country can control everything. Despite China's strong response, there are still many obstacles to overcome. China's population is aging, with 300 million people anticipated to retire by 2035. Joblessness in China accounted for about 21%, and many local China's governments owe roughly $9 trillion in debt, and the real estate market is in 2022, China also crashed, leaving many individuals with incomplete departments. These issues are severe, but China learned instead of giving up to operate independently when the United Chinese technology was blocked by states, constructed its own when the US attempted to prevent China discovered new markets for its exports. Many nations now realize that relying on it is too dangerous. On a single partner, they would rather work with numerous countries to maintain their robust economies for the general public. More options, such as more affordable electric cars, faster internet, and even lower prices may result from this new trading method. For many goods, but it can also bring uncertainty. For example, factories may relocate from China to Vietnam or from the United States to Mexico, and workers may need to acquire new skills. The takeaway from all of this is that in the modern world, no one can prevail in a trade war by attempting to compel others to submit to their wishes. Instead, the future belongs to those who can cooperate, exchange ideas, and maintain their flexibility in a world where wealth and power are dispersed among numerous nations. Collaboration is essential. To create a stable and robust global economy, all nations must cooperate, even if they occasionally disagree. However, the United States' potential threat from Canada is a warning. The United States has long benefited from having Canada as a close trading partner, but if Canada can use its power exports as leverage in a trade dispute, the US may need to reconsider its energy supply. This could entail increasing investment in renewable energy sources like solar and wind power, or identifying new international partners who can supply electricity. American leaders are now stating that it is dangerous to rely too heavily on one nation for energy and that they must be ready for any eventuality. China isn't just cutting off the US, it's shifting its trade strategy entirely. Beijing has been strengthening trade ties with the European Union, Latin America, and other Asian nations. It's also ramping up its domestic EV production to reduce dependence on US technology. Could this be the beginning of a new global trade order? One of the biggest industries affected is the electric vehicle market. With China controlling a major portion of the global battery supply chain, this trade disruption could pose serious challenges for US automakers like Tesla, Ford, and GM. Will this push the US to develop its own EV supply chain, or will it fall behind in the EV race? This historic move by China is bound to have far-reaching consequences for both nations. Will the US government respond with countermeasures? Could this lead to a new wave of economic instability? One thing is certain: this trade war is far from over. Stay tuned to our channel for more updates on this developing story. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell